Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, thank you very much for joining us once again on our live podcast at Mic'd Up 416. We're live on YouTube and Facebook under the umbrella of Sufi Council of Toronto. We have a special program today, but before we get into our special guests that are here with us at the Makkah Islamic Center, as we are always on Saturday, due to some time changes, so we apologize for starting too late. Technical difficulties when you're dealing with multimedia. There's always some issues with technicality, but nonetheless, we're here with another program. I think we have two programs left before the end of the season, and then before the month of Ramadan. So we're happy that our guests are here today to kind of discuss some things that will help our future and our future goals and planning for ourselves and for our families. Before we get into that, just the formalities. So on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon at Mic'd Up 416 on YouTube for future videos and for you to get notifications. Just in case you do forget that we go live every Saturday. We're also on live on the Makkah Islamic Center, or from the Makkah Islamic Center here at 3234 Eglinton Avenue East in Scarborough. And nonetheless, on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, please do like and follow. On Instagram, Mic'd Up 416, you can see all of our short clips and posters and such to stay intact with that. So please do follow on there as well. And then this month we've been sponsored, who also is our guest today, by Brother Kamalhusain Rathod, who is working for IG Wealth Management, who is also a consultant. And on your screen, you're seeing now their information. They're going to share some of their information with us as well, since they're here live with us. But just to go through, 700-294 the Westmall in Etobicoke, Ontario is their address. Office number 416-695-8600, extension 4206. Their direct cell number is 647-289-8786, and their email, kamalhusain.rathod@ig.ca. kamalhusain.rathod@ig.ca. And we want to thank Brother Kamalhusain, one, for sponsoring the month of March, but also for being here live. So I'm going to turn over to our guest. Over to my right, I have our own Brother Mohsin Patel, who has joined us, who's obviously intact in getting the sponsors and doing all that framework for not only Sufi Council Toronto, Makkah Islamic Center, but Mike for now the podcast. So I want to thank them for coming as well. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Omar, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, bro.
Good. And we have our sponsor here with us as well, who's directly sat in front of me, Brother Kamalhusain Saab. Thank you very much for coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for coming. Predominantly, I'm just here for formalities. The show is Brother Mohsin's, because obviously it's his show once a month when we bring our sponsors on board. I guess I'll start off the conversation, and then I'll leave it up to Brother Mohsin and Brother Kamal to, and I'll kind of look at social media if there's any questions coming up and stuff. And I do have some questions myself as well, so I'll throw at you. It's very important to have, and it's something that we don't think about until it's too late, and that's setting ourselves up for our future, for our families. Whether it's, we're renting now, we want to buy a house later, government fundings, all of these things are very important that sometimes we don't think about.
Right.
We're so busy, we just work, and we just put into our checkings, and we don't do anything with it. So I think it's very important to build a future. And I think that's where I'm going to start the conversation with. But before we get into that, I just want you to talk about yourself first. So introduce yourself, your work, your qualifications, etc. And then you can just go into your kind of mission to help people build the future financially.
Okay. So I'll just, be very brief with the introduction here.
Sure.
I'm not going to take too long on that.
No problem.
So I landed here in Canada in 2009.
Okay.
And after that, I had, started with one of the leading banks in Canada.
Right.
And I was there for more than 7 years.
Right.
And while I was working there, I was building my expertise into the financial planning and also earning, or I'll say, working towards my education.
Right.
financial education where I earned, a couple of designations or certifications, I'll say QAFP, CIM, RRC.
Right.
And that's how I started here. And presently, I'm working with IG Wealth Management,
Nice.
where I help, the community with the financial planning and educate them. The first thing that I try to, do is educate them because that's really important.
Right.
Without it, there won't be any awareness or there won't be any understanding of what exactly this financial planning or how it's going to help them.
Absolutely.
So that's how I start my process.
Okay.
And financial planning is not something like one size fits all approach.
Absolutely.
It is more of like a personalized,
Right.
where I need to understand the person's needs, their goals, their priorities. And based on that, we build a plan for them.
Right.
And we have a really great tool at IG. We call it an IG Living Plan.
Right.
Why we call it IG Living Plan is it actually lives along. It's a journey.
Right.
Financial planning, or it's an entire journey. So it lives with you.
Right.
And that's how the whole planning process works. So I'm not getting into much detail about the whole the steps involved into the financial planning.
Right.
But this is the framework of how we work with the clients.
No, and that's good. I mean, and being a Muslim brother yourself, I'll be honest with you. My father, immigrants, right? My father was an immigrant. My mother was an immigrant. And my grandparents were immigrants to the country. And it always was, paise kamao, jeb mein dalo, and that's it. Don't give it to the bank and don't do any of this. But in our day and age, we were born here, and we went to university. We did all these things. And, all these things come up.
That's
put
true.
money in stocks, put money in RSPs, think about your future and kids' education. And we never used to think about that.
That's true.
Right? So how important is it to build a financial plan for families?
Look at it this way, like everything that you do in your day-to-day life, whether you want to buy a home or let's say you're planning to buy a house.
Right.
How do you do that? Is it like one morning you wake up, like you woke up and you start looking for the house?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Right.
You start planning ahead of the time. Okay, I want to buy a home in, let's say, 2 years, 3 years.
Right.
And you start building your, the money or the assets for your down payment.
Right.
And that's how the whole, the planning is important for every aspect of your life.
Right.
Not just buying a home or not just running a business. It's for your own personal self as well as your family.
Right.
So there are so many, tools available. And if I name like, some of the, like, for example, you just mentioned RRSPs.
Right.
For education, we have RESPs.
Right.
There's, tax-free savings account. There is, for a person who is taking care of a disabled in a family,
Right.
there's something called RDSP,
Okay.
which a lot of people are not aware of.
Right.
And that's what I have found during my conversation, with within the community, that they think RRSP or saving for RRSP is not good.
Yeah, because you
You
can't
should
touch
not
them.
be. Yeah, you cannot
them.
touch them. You cannot touch that money.
Right.
What does it mean? Like RRSP itself, the name itself says it's for your retirement.
Right.
So obviously you're going to need that money in your retirement. You're saving for your retirement,
Right.
not for tomorrow.
Right.
So
Right.
retirement is probably, 5 years, 10 years, or even a lot of cases could be even 30, 40 years down the road.
True. True.
So that's how you need to plan for each and every thing.
It's a good thing because, in our field, I'm going to turn it over to Mohsin, but there's a saying, and you'll probably agree with it, that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's true.
And it's true because sometimes we don't think about it, right? And especially in the Muslim community, Pakistani, Indians, and Bengalis, in that community, it's not important. So if I was going to ask you to give a message to that community, right? You belong to the Hindustani community. There's Pakistanis around, because that's predominantly where we come from, right?
Right.
If you were going to tell them the importance of setting yourself up for the future, if you were to give that one message to them, what would you say to them?
I would say, most of the time we don't talk about this. We don't have a discussion about this, even within the family. We don't talk about it at all.
Right.
We just are more focused on our day-to-day activities, what we are going to do tomorrow.
Right.
That's what we are just focused on.
Right.
What's going to happen, a few years down the road, we are not bothered about it.
It's true.
So talk to someone, who can help you with this.
Right.
For example, like we work on this. We do this in and out on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Open up. You can talk to us. if I quote an example here, like if you if I have a health issue,
Right.
what do you think? Like, who do you think I'm going to call? Am I going to call doctor, or am I going to call brother Omar and ask for explain my situation?
It's true.
I'm going to call doctor.
Absolutely.
If I have a question about something related to Sunnah or some Islamic question, probably I'm going to reach out to you.
Right.
I'm going to seek some like guidance about how I can solve this problem.
Absolutely. You go to the professionals.
Go to the professionals.
Yeah.
So when it comes to financial, aspect or managing your money, or how to invest, where to invest, we normally look at our friends,
Absolutely.
or a lot of times I've seen people into the group chats too,
Yeah.
sharing ideas.
Yes.
But those ideas are meant probably for that person.
Right.
It may not be relevant to you.
True.
So it has to be, tailored to anything, any investments or any financial planning that we do. It has to be tailored to your needs,
Right.
your priorities,
Right.
not to my needs or my priorities.
Absolutely.
So I have to understand that before I do anything with you.
Very good point.
So always, I would always, I'll just recommend open up, talk to someone. It's not just, come to me and talk to me, but talk to someone who you trust as an advisor.
Right.
Open up and tell them this is what your current situation is and this is what you want to achieve.
Right.
And that's when you will be able to, build that plan.
Very good. Very good. Brother Mohsin.
No, that's a very good topic and talk you are doing right now. There's the idea, how to get idea, where to get idea, and advice, how to get. Because abhi to advice are free to get. How we are chatting in a group, as you said, people will throw stuff, right? They will say whatever they want to say,
Right.
but the proper idea where the people has to give about like financial, who are in the field, that's you.
That's true.
That's why we brought you to the podcast, so the people get the proper message out there,
That's-
right? So when we were talking about this RESP, and alhamdulillah, I sent out your flyer, bunch of questions that came out today. So first question I will just share to you. So this brother who asked me the question, that since the text file time is around, this question is about like RESP. Why would you save in RESP when money come out of the account if it is text as well? So why they have to save, why to do RESP?
It's coming back to my point again. It's RRSP. It's called Registered Retirement Savings Plan. So why do we save into RRSP when we are taxed when the money comes out of it? That's what the question is about. So let's put it this way. I'll give you an example here, rather than to make it simple for the viewers to understand.
Right.
Let's assume an individual. We'll call him Ahmed, for example, for this
Why
for the sake of this understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say he's 40 years old individual. He's working full time, and he's into a tax bracket, for example, for say 30% now. And he's expected to be in the tax bracket of about 15% when he retires. So when he contributes to the RRSP, he's going to save taxes at the rate of 30%. So that's what he gets. It's a savings for him.
Right.
So if I take here in numbers, like $1,000 contributed by him into the RRSP today, will save about $300 in taxes. And when the time comes at age 65, when he's ready to retire and start drawing an income from it, if he withdraws that $1,000, he'll pay about 15%, which is $150. So there is a clear difference of about $150. That's a savings. So when you put money into the RRSP, you are into a higher tax bracket, probably because you are working full time. You have employment income or maybe business income.
Right.
So you're going to pay more taxes if you don't contribute to RRSP. And
Listen, these guys know. But I'm very. It really breaks my heart. I don't even want to expose how much I pay in taxes, but I understand what you're saying. The problem is people need money now. So what Brother Mohsin was saying, and the question was the money. They're saying that, okay, I'm going to put it into RSPs, but I'm still going to end up paying taxes. They don't understand the concept. So if you can just repeat that, because I don't think people might have caught that. It's a very good point.
Okay, let's say I'll repeat that same
please.
with the $1,000.
Yes.
So $1,000 contributed today, and if a person is in a marginal tax rate of 30%, will receive a tax savings of about $300, which is 30% of $1,000.
Yeah.
And when the person retires, because there is no employment income at all at that time, that's what the retirement is about, that you're not working. There's no income.
जी
So your income source is probably, other sources that the government benefits that you receive. Apart from that, if you have your savings in your RSP,
Right.
is what you're going to receive.
right
And if there is an income coming out of the RSP in retirement for the same $1,000,
right
and you are in a tax bracket of 15%,
mm-hmm.
you're going to pay tax of $150.
wow
So $300 savings versus $150 paid
yeah
when the money comes out.
right
And that's not the end,
yeah
because the $1,000 invested 25 years. If
Yeah.
someone I'll just go back to that example, 40 years individual
right
retiring at 65, there's 25 years before he retires.
right
So the $1,000 is going to remain invested within the account
right
for that entire 25 years.
right
So I'm not even counting that growth.
exactly
So the $1,000 is not going to be $1,000 at 65. It's probably more,
yeah
depending on how the person has invested the money.
so it's you're including the profit that you're making on the money plus then when the taxes come out, so it's a void, so it's not really, you're not really paying and losing as much as you think.
You're not losing at all.
Yeah absolutely
Not as much. You're not losing.
Right.
You're saving more on taxes
Right.
when you're working full time,
जी
and you're paying less in taxes.
जी Kamal bhai, if you don't mind, can you say that in Hindi and Urdu as well? Can you both go through
Oh, yeah,
that?
yeah.
There were some people just
Yeah, yeah.
messaged that said अगर आप हिंदी में यही बात आप कह सकते हैं.
अभी जो एग्जाम्पल जो बताया था अभी,
जी
$1,000 अगर आप कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं RRSP में आज, जब
जी।
आप फुल टाइम काम कर रहे हैं,
जी
आपकी फुल टाइम इनकम है,
जी
टैक्स रेट आपका ज़्यादा है,
जी
और इस एग्जाम्पल जो ले रहा था उसमें 30% लिया था
जी
मैंने,
जी
30% टैक्स रेट है आपका.
जी
सो आप जब कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं फंड्स आपके RRSP में, तो आपका जो टैक्स सेविंग्स जो होता है
जी।
विल बी एट योर मार्जिनल टैक्स, आपके मार्जिनल टैक्स रेट के हिसाब से रहता है.
जी जी
सो $1,000 आपने कंट्रीब्यूट किया, $300 का आपका फ़ायदा होगा
राइट
टैक्स में.
जी
और जब आप रिटायर होते हैं, क्योंकि आपकी कोई इनकम नहीं है, आप काम नहीं कर रहे अभी,
सही
तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट इनकम नहीं आ रही है आपकी
सही
कोई.
सही
एंड देन व्हेन यू विड्रॉ द मनी आउट ऑफ इट, लाइक पैसा जब, क्योंकि रिटायरमेंट में आप RRSP से पैसा विड्रॉ करेंगे इनकम के तौर पर,
बिल्कुल
तो उस टाइम का आपका टैक्स रेट लेट्स से 15% है.
जी
सो 15% के हिसाब से जो आपका टैक्स रेट है, तो $150 आपका टैक्स लगता है उसमें.
सही
सो आपने 300 बचाया, आपने 150 पे किया,
वाह
और वो 25 सालों में जो आपका ग्रोथ आया उस इन्वेस्टमेंट में,
जी
वो अलग से है अंदर.
सही
और वो टैक्स डिफर्ड ग्रोथ है, वो आप हर साल उसको टैक्सेबल इनकम नहीं होता है,
राइट
वो जब आप विड्रॉ करते हैं तभी वो टैक्सेबल
सही।
गिना जाता है.
तो कमाल भाई, अभी ये आप RRSP के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, तो व्यूअर्स को, द पीपल वांट टू नो कि भाई RRSP का अकाउंट ओपन करवा दिया, पर ओपन करवाने के बाद अगर जो अकाउंट में पैसे है, तो अगर वो आदमी को या कोई को भी जिसने अकाउंट ओपन करवाया है, अगर उसको पैसे बोरो करने हैं फ्रॉम RRSP, क्या वो पैसे बोरो कर सकते हैं? अगर कर सकते हैं तो कितने सालों में उन्हें वो पैसे रिटर्न करने होंगे? लेट्स से इफ यू आर अ फर्स्ट टाइम होम बायर,
फर्स्ट टाइम होम बायर,
सही है, तो वो लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि अगर उनके डाउन पेमेंट के लिए अगर वो RRSP का अमाउंट यूज़ कर सकते हैं, और कर सकते हैं तो लाइक व्हेन दे कैन रिटर्न दैट मनी?
RRSP में 2 कंडीशंस में आप विड्रॉ कर सकते हैं. एक तो फर्स्ट टाइम होम बायर्स, और दूसरा है लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग प्लान, एजुकेशन के लिए, खुद का एजुकेशन आपने करना है, अगर अपग्रेड करना है स्किल्स. सो होम बायर्स प्लान में क्या होता है कि आपने जो कंट्रीब्यूट किया है, और फर्स्ट टाइम अगर होम बायर है आप, तो अप टू 35,000, पहले 25 था, अभी जो रिसेंटली चेंज हुआ है, नाउ यू कैन विड्रॉ अप टू 35,000 विदाउट ट्रिगरिंग एनी टैक्स लायबिलिटी, इमीडिएट टैक्स लायबिलिटी. पर कंडीशन ये होती है कि जो आपने विड्रॉ किया है, जो भी अमाउंट 35 और लेसर देन दैट, वो आपको 15 सालों में रीपेमेंट करना होता है, बैक टू योर ओन RRSP. मतलब आप अपने अकाउंट से ही बोरो किया, आप उसको रीपे कर रहे हैं.
This is the question. They're saying that that's my money.
Yeah.
So why I'm going to pay that $15,000? Like,
Oh.
can you explain to them?
ओके, सो आपने जब कंट्रीब्यूट किया था, लेट्स से 35,000 आपने विड्रॉ किया होम बायर्स में, आपने जब कंट्रीब्यूट किया था 35,000, तो आपने टैक्स डिडक्शन लिया था.
लिया था, okay.
तो आपकी लायबिलिटी बन जाती है आपकी, दैट यू हैव टू पुट इट बैक इनटू योर RRSP. अगर आप नहीं करना चाहे तो वो भी है उसमें. They say if you don't put the money back into the account for that year, specific year, include that amount into your income.
ओके
So taxable हो जाएगा.
सही सही
Oh, it's going to add on your income then.
back into your income for that year.
Oh,
अगर
okay.
15
Makes
let's say
sense.
15,000 for the simplicity 15,000 आपने withdraw किया
Okay.
और 15 साल में आपको $1,000 आपको रीपे करना है. $1,000 अगर उस साल एक साल में आपने वापस रीपे नहीं किया उसको
जी.
तो $1,000 आपके इनकम में इंक्लूड कर लीजिए.
Okay.
वो
So
taxable
that
हो
makes
जाएगा.
sense. Okay. So अगर वो पे भी नहीं कर सकते हैं तो वो आपकी इनकम में चले जाएंगे.
Yeah.
But that money you have to return.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
More questions?
Yeah, I have few questions. Same regarding when a topic is going on, RES के हवाले से. So they're saying that when RRSP account, you're saying is you have to open, that helps. Okay, whatever. But RRSP account खोलेंगे तो क्या CPP जो है वो reduce हो सकता है उसमें?
No, your misconception. This is I would say misconception, and a lot of people have been carrying this misconception for many years.
Mhm.
The result is either they never had opened an RRSP,
Mhm.
or even if they did, it's very little in the RRSP now.
Mhm.
Why this misconception is it's through the word of mouth, like someone told something and
Right.
to the other person, the third person, and that's how we have this. Okay.
Say.
So my friend told me that I won't get CPP if I if I hold RSP in retirement,
Right.
and that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true with the CPP, especially.
Right.
With some consideration, which I'll just touch base on that too.
Mhm.
But there are some other benefits which are income tested.
Okay.
For example, old age security.
Mhm.
That falls into that income tested criteria. That suppose if you have an income of certain level or beyond certain amount in your retirement, your benefit will start reducing. And at some income, so like for the sake of understanding, for old age security, 79 it's at 79,845 is, I believe, is the amount.
Mm.
That if your retirement income in your retirement is beyond that amount, 79,000, over 79,000, that's when your old age security will start reducing
Oh.
at the rate of 15% of the amount that's over.
Right. Over 79 grand.
Over 79 grand.
Okay.
And at 129 grand, you get nothing.
Right.
But very I'll ask this: how many of us will have 80,000 or 100,000 income in retirement if you're not working full time?
Very hard.
Even if you have a $500,000 RSP
Right.
at retirement, if you are 65 now,
Mhm.
and if you have a $500,000 in RRSP,
Right.
and if you set it up to the minimum withdrawal,
Right.
your minimum amount from the RSP that you will get paid is somewhere around 20,000.
Mm.
So that 20,000 plus your CPP,
Right.
even if you're working part time in your retirement, you still probably may not have crossed that amount of 79.
Right.
So there's no question of losing the old age benefit.
Right.
Now back to the CPP, there are certain factors that will derive whether how much you're going to receive in your retirement as a CPP benefit.
Gee.
So the maximum benefit is for this 2021, I think $1,200, slightly over $1,200.
Right.
There's age. What age you start taking CPP
Mhm.
is one thing that will decide how much you get.
Right.
You can start as early as 60.
Mhm.
You can take it at a standard age of 65, or you can even delay it up to 70.
Right.
So there are different consequences, taking early and delaying.
Say.
So you get either lose or you benefit more when you take later.
Right.
Second is the how many years of contributions.
Mhm.
If I've contributed only for 10 years, it's going to get prorated. I'm not going to be getting full benefit
Right.
because I just contributed for 10 years.
True.
But someone who has worked for 40 years or 50 years, someone who is born and brought up here,
Right.
would have spent their entire life here
Gee.
and would have met all those conditions.
Right.
Probably will be eligible for that benefit.
Right.
But for a person like me, I came later in my life.
Right.
I may not be contributing to CPP for the entire 40 years.
True.
So the benefit that I'll receive is going to be prorated based on the number of years that I have contributed.
Makes sense.
So that's how this thing works.
So there's a misconception. I heard this a long time ago. I don't know if it's true. You're in the financial service, so you can obviously let us know. is that the generation, what generation do we call these? Our generation, Generation X? My generation. Millennial. So I'm a millennial. So the millennials, by the time they retire, I heard that there would be no CPP. Meaning because of the baby boomers and everybody, they're eating up a lot of money and now, right? Some of the older generation now, like my father's generation and above, that they're taking a lot of income. Is there a surety that the millennials or the Generation X that's coming is going to have CPP available to them when they retire?
CPP is it's a pension plan. That's where you're contributing to that plan. So I don't see a reason why it won't be there when you retire, because it's a pool of money. People are putting money into this as a contribution to the plan. What probably you are referring it to is the old age security.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Not CPP.
Old age security is what you're referring it to.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's government funded.
Right.
And we cannot be sure whether it's going to be there after 50 years, 60 years.
True.
We don't know that.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to tell you whether it's going to be available at the time when you retire or not.
Right.
It depends on government funding or the government policies. So that's something I won't be able to comment on, whether
That's fair.
it's there or not.
That's fair. And one question before I turn it over to Brother Mohsin is in regards to security for like financial security. So there's people that work. For example, my father. He's been working his entire life, and no real savings, I would say, but just money, cash, and all of that. Do you deal with things like stocks and mutual funds and bonds and all of those things as well? And is that something that can give you a good ROI in the future financially to set yourself up for future goals?
Before you answer, I'm going to add to Brother Omar question that somebody just asked about that mutual fund question. That which mutual fund are good to invest in?
Okay. So
I think that's the same question I think Brother Omar was asking.
Before I go there, I'll just take that question. I'm licensed for mutual fund and insurance.
Okay.
When I say insurance, it's life insurance,
Right.
disability, critical illness, and health and dental plans.
Okay.
But stocks, yes, we have those, but not something that you want to trade on a day in and day out basis, like someone who wants to buy and sell stocks. For those things, you can open a self-directed account,
Right.
and you can trade yourself. Like I don't advise on stocks.
Yeah, and that's what my question was.
I don't advise on stocks, but I do advise on mutual funds and insurance.
Okay. And what is the benefits of mutual funds?
Mutual funds is something. It's if I give you in a very simple way, it's again people. It's a pool of money.
Right.
That I invest the money into the fund, and there is a portfolio manager for that fund who is looking after and managing that money.
Right.
Investing in.
Gee.
So there are different types of funds.
Right.
Now, what funds are the question about which fund is good to invest in?
Yeah, which fund is like they should invest in mutual fund.
So I've come across this question. I don't even remember how many times. A lot of times, I'll say.
Gee.
But honestly, there is no, I would say every mutual fund is it's worth investing in.
Right.
But not every fund is going to be a good fit to find a place in your portfolio.
I
Right.
see. Yeah.
Because it's a matter of discussion. We need to understand before I say, buy this fund or invest here or invest there.
Yep.
We need to understand what your priorities are. When are you going to need this money? What exactly you want to achieve? What are your income needs in your retirement? If it's for a retirement,
Gee.
if it's for an education, it's going to be entirely a different conversation.
True.
So it's based on your needs and your priorities is what we build a solution for you.
Right.
Not just picking a fund and say, buy this. It's good fun because I like it. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So it has to be more tailored to your needs rather than, picking and...
Yep. That's good. Yeah.
Mutual funds or ETF, exchange traded funds. Which ones are more ideal for people trying to, I guess, invest into?
Both are, both are good investments, and you can have both in your portfolios.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, pick one and don't buy the other, or don't invest into other.
Gee.
You can have a balance on both the sides.
Right.
Now, the ETFs are also, there are so many different types.
Say.
So I'm not getting into greater details on, those types.
Right.
But as I said, you can balance on both the sides.
Right.
It depends on, again, your when do you need the money? How long do you want to remain invested in?
Right.
What's the purpose of investing the money into?
Right.
How much, risk you are willing to take?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the questions that we need to ask, or we need an answer.
Right.
Before I can even tell you something about, how to invest or where to invest. But I say investments is a secondary part of the financial plan.
Right.
The first thing is to know your goals, your aspirations. What do you want to achieve? When do you want to retire? Based on all those answers is what we can come up with the solution. Okay, this is what is good for you.
Say. No, that's a very good answer, because it's hard. It's not like you're going to Foot Locker and you're going to buy a pair of shoes.
Right.
You're going to see, oh yeah, this one looks good. I'm going to buy it and see you later, right? So, and the other question that just came was, should I have a portfolio manager with a bank or a third party company?
Portfolio manager with a bank or a third party company?
Or a third party company. Meaning, should I go to TD Bank or should I come to IG Wealth Management?
No, let's see.
I guess this is for you to build yourself.
Again, it's a little, tricky.
Yeah.
But as I said, what we do is, as at IG Wealth, is we start with building your plan. We work together. We start building your plan. We work forward and see where do you want to go and how do you want to reach those goals.
Say.
Based on that, we start working on the investment solutions as well.
Gee.
Now, when we say investing with bank or any bank or IG Wealth, the funds, or more or less, you're going to find a lot of similarities between the funds.
Right.
What differentiates here is the advice that you're going to receive.
Say.
If you're getting the right advice at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm just offering something. Okay, how much do you want to invest in? Here it is. Let's invest into this fund.
Right.
That's not what I do.
Is it more personal then?
It's more personal.
Okay.
It's more personal rather than like a product base.
Because you genuinely care about that individual.
That's what we do.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I bank with TD,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to do that.
Okay.
And I just found that the person across the desk from me was, yeah, do this here, sign here, and then off you go. I met them once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't genuinely care.
Okay.
So if I was to give you, maybe for yourself to give to viewers a snapshot of how you represent your clients, I think that's very important. अगर आप उर्दू में कह दें, because हमारे जो viewers भी हैं, उनके भी अब्बू अम्मी हैं, वो भी काम करते हैं, फैक्ट्री में काम कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, हम धक्के खा रहे हैं ना, either in this country, our parents. तो उनके लिए भी एक पैगाम आप दे दें कि investing क्यों ज़रूरी है, right? ये भी I think it's very very important as well.
Investing, अगर बताऊँ मैं, investing ज़रूरी इसलिए होता है क्योंकि आप जैसे कि हर चीज़ प्लान करते हैं, जैसे मैंने आगे भी बताया था
जी.
कि आपको घर खरीदना है तो आप प्लान करके लेते हैं.
सही.
सडनली आप नहीं ले लेते, एक दिन में आप घर फाइनल नहीं कर लेते.
सही.
सेम थिंग अप्लाइज टू, मतलब वही चीज़ आपके हर एक दूसरे लाइफ एस्पेक्ट्स जो है
जी,
कि आपको रिटायरमेंट लेना है, आगे चल के आप रिटायर होंगे, आपके बच्चों का एजुकेशन के लिए आपको कुछ प्लान करना है. तो हर चीज़ के लिए प्लानिंग ज़रूरी होता है. इन्वेस्टमेंट्स तो उसके बाद का एक सेकंड स्टेप हो जाता है कि इन्वेस्ट कहाँ करें. पहले तो आपको ये अपना जहन बनाना पड़ेगा कि मैं किस तरह से मुझे प्लान करना है. मेरा बच्चा यूनिवर्सिटी में जाएगा, क्या प्लान कर रहे हैं, किस तरह का एजुकेशन चाहिए उसको, डॉक्टर बनना है या कुछ और फील्ड में जाना है, कितना कॉस्ट आएगा उस चीज़ के लिए, तो मैं उसको कैसे प्लान करूं. अभी जैसे RRSP, बहुत सारे लोग प्लान नहीं करते उस चीज़ के लिए, जहाँ पर आपको गवर्नमेंट का भी उसमें बेनिफिट मिलता है, गवर्नमेंट ग्रांट्स मिलती है. आप RRSP अगर ओपन करते हैं, कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं आपके चाइल्ड के लिए, एजुकेशन के लिए, जो काफ़ी लोग नहीं करते।
सही।
नहीं RESP में तो फिर मैं निकाल नहीं सकता।
राइट।
बट आपको निकालना क्यों है, किस चीज़ के लिए? आप
You're saving for
उसको
your kids.
सेव कर रहे हैं, आप एजुकेशन के लिए उसको,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
और कोई पर्पस के लिए तो आपको सेव नहीं करना है RESP में।
सही
आप RESP में रिटायरमेंट के लिए सेव नहीं करेंगे ना,
Yes,
RRSP में आप एजुकेशन के लिए सेव करेंगे।
सही। Very
तो
good point.
जो हर एक अकाउंट का एक पर्पस है।
सही।
अगर आपको इमरजेंसी के लिए, आपको अगर ऐसा है कि मुझे कुछ फंड्स निकालने की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी,
जी।
1 साल में, 2 महीने में, 6 साल, मतलब साल भर में,
Emergency or something.
इमरजेंसी,
जी, जी।
तो इमरजेंसी के लिए एक सेपरेट उसका अकाउंट, दैट्स वेयर, वहीं पर वो जो प्लानिंग वाली जो मैं बात बार बार बोल रहा हूँ, आई
जी।
कीप प्रेसिंग ऑन प्लानिंग।
जी।
प्लानिंग इसीलिए इम्पॉर्टेंट होता है कि वो जो चीज़ें हैं, जो पजल अलग अलग पीसेस होते हैं, उसको किस तरह से जोड़ा जाए, कहाँ पर कैसे रखा जाए।
सही।
तो जब प्लान करते हैं तो आपका इमरजेंसी फंड अलग रखते हैं, आपका एजुकेशन फंड अलग रखते हैं, रिटायरमेंट फंड अलग रखते हैं, हर एक चीज़ सेपरेट होती है, एक ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वे में होती है,
सही।
ताकि आपको जब ज़रूरत पड़े इमरजेंसी में तो आप इमरजेंसी फंड में जाएंगे,
वाह।
विड्रॉ करेंगे,
Very good.
ना कि RRSP में देखेंगे,
जी।
क्योंकि ऑलरेडी आपका वो सेट इस्टेब्लिश किया हुआ है।
जी।
सो दैट्स, इसीलिए वो प्लानिंग ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है। इन्वेस्टिंग तो ऑटोमेटिकली आएगा, क्योंकि अगर आपका लॉन्ग टर्म ऑब्जेक्टिव है, पर्पस है, तो आप इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे, बिकॉज यू डोंट टू लिव मनी इन कैश फॉर
सही।
नथिंग।
सही।
क्योंकि इन्फ्लेशन भी एक चीज़ होती है कि आज आपके पास $100 का जो कुछ खरीद सकते हैं, शायद 10 साल में वो चीज़ खरीदनी हो तो आपको हो सकता है
Of
$150 पे करना पड़े।
For sure.
सो आप कैश में तो छोड़ना नहीं चाहेंगे उसको।
सही।
तो कमल भाई, जो RESP की जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो RESP में देयर वाज वन पर्सन आस्किंग मी द क्वेश्चन कि RESP उनके 2 बच्चे हैं, तो उन्होंने अकाउंट खुलवा लिया है एक बच्चे का,
Right.
दे आर इन्वेस्टिंग इन RESP फॉर वन किड। इफ दे वांट टू टेक आउट द मनी फॉर बोथ किड्स, डू दे नीड द अकाउंट फॉर बोथ किड्स, और उनको एक ही अकाउंट में से दोनों के लिए पैसे यूज कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, RESP भी 2 तरह के अकाउंट आप ओपन कर सकते हैं। एक तो इंडिविजुअल होता है और दूसरा फैमिली प्लान होता है। अगर किसी फैमिली में जस्ट एक चाइल्ड है तो जनरली दे प्रेफर के इंडिविजुअल अकाउंट खोल लें और उसमें कंट्रीब्यूट करें। पर जब एक से ज़्यादा चाइल्ड होता है, फॉर द इवन many times I tell someone who has only one child
Yeah.
and they are young and they may have planned for future,
Another
like they want to have another kid.
Yeah.
So उस केस में क्या करते हैं कि we just, I suggest them, like, open up a family plan if you have those in the future that you will have another child.
Yeah.
जी।
So पहले से आप फैमिली प्लान ओपन कर लीजिए, उसमें आप फ्यूचर में जब आप दूसरा चाइल्ड आपका आता है तो यू कैन जस्ट सिंपली ऐड अ नेम टू दैट प्लान। आपको अलग से अकाउंट ओपन नहीं करना पड़ेगा
सही।
और उसी के अंदर आप कंट्रीब्यूट करना शुरू कर सकते हैं।
ओके।
अगर फैमिली प्लान में 2 चाइल्ड 2 बेनिफिशियरीज हैं तो कंट्रीब्यूशन जो किया हुआ है वो दोनों में से कोई एक भी यूज़ कर सकता है। और ग्रांट्स में थोड़ी कंडीशंस होती है जो अभी डिटेल्स नहीं जाना है, अदरवाइज इट विल टेक लॉन्गर।
Yeah, yeah.
और ग्रांट्स में कुछ कंडीशंस होती है कि वो बेनिफिशियरी किस तरह से यूज़ करता है।
सही।
और कंट्रीब्यूशंस दोनों में से कोई भी चाइल्ड यूज़ कर सकता है।
That's good. That's good to know. But now we don't have much time. I think we have like 10 minutes. So I want to go in this investment thing, like in halal and haram. People are thinking that is that insurance is halal? Buying insurance is halal. First question is that. And then I will leave on the 2 advisor. One is Islamic way, Brother Umar, gonna answer. And financial way, Brother Kamalhusain Rathod, you will answer. So people are thinking that अगर कोई अकाउंट भी खुलवा ले तो जो अकाउंट खुलने में जो इंटरेस्ट लगता है वो हराम है. So I will ask Brother Umar, why is haram? They're saying that taking interest is haram.
I think, okay. Imam Saab is here with us. But it's a very good question. But I think because it's Kamal Bhai's program, we're going to take away from his business. But nonetheless, is earning interest, riba, is haram. Short answer, if you gain interest from anything, in that sense, if you're taking interest from something, or like we were mentioning before the podcast, is double mortgages, triple mortgages, 4 mortgages, this is haram.
Okay,
In
so
Islam.
Brother Umar, I will ask you the same thing that you're saying it's haram. So I have one house and I'm paying interest. That's haram?
No, you have. So here's the other thing. Islam is not, Imam Saab as well, Islam is not it's not what people make it out to be. Itni sakhti hai that we can't do it. We have a zaruri in this life. Nobody has $1.2 million to buy a house like this. So we're forced. We don't live in a Muslim country where we have to pay, where we don't have to pay for mortgage. We don't have that. If you go India, Pakistan, the rules are different, right? They don't have that. We don't have sadqa, not sadqa, qarz hasana. We can't go to someone and say, lend me $700,000, $800,000, let me put a thing. So the zaruri of this world, it's allowed. It's permissible. The muftis have said it is permissible because of the where we live. So if you have one house, leave it at that. If you have more, double, triple, 4 or 5 houses some people have, and they're paying mortgages on it, it's not accepted.
It's haram.
It's not accepted.
So the people who has few houses,
More than one,
and they're making income, that's haram. That's good to
as
know.
long as if they're paying interest, I believe, is what makes it haram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brother Kamalhusain Rathod, what do you want to say on that? Why this?
Like Brother Omar just said, talking about interest will take away business from me. That's not true. I
just don't want.
There are investments that are not going to pay any interest on. You don't get interest paid on certain investments. But that's again a question of discussion of
there's ikhtilaf in this.
like what amount of risk you want to take, how much you want to invest, how long do you want to remain invested in. There's so many questions needs to be answered before even we can talk about this. But when you say interest, it's probably money that's in the savings account,
right?
That earns interest. Bonds, that pays interest.
Probably
those are the things that I believe, yes, those are haram.
Ji.
But there are ways, and there are investments that we can build for anyone who believes that doesn't want to earn any interest on it. Yes, we can do that for them.
No, that's, and people have this misconception, right? Because then you have those extremists who just say, no, you should live in an apartment your whole life and this and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't get a mortgage, this and that. Look, we take the middle path. That's the path of the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Alhamdulillah. Yes, Imam Sahib. So we take the middle path, meaning we're not extreme on one side and not extreme on the other. There's liability there's love and muhabba in the middle way. There's ways to go around things.
That's right.
For example, I was in one of the courses that I was taking, they mentioned about stocks, and they said as long as there's no gambling in the sense of we don't know what's coming out of it, then it's fine. But if you are stationed, so let's say your return on investment is $20 per $1. It's stationed for everybody, meaning there's no risk, there's no highs, there's no lows, then it's fine. But if there's someone who comes and says, you know what, it's high risk on this time, and then it just keeps fluctuating up and down, he goes, those are the things that you want to stay away from. But that meaning to say is that if there's no assurity in the investment that you are making, then stay away from it. When there's shak, that's what Islam teaches us. So if there's shak in anything, then you just stay away. If you're not sure, stay away. But my point is for yourself, we go into the halal and haram, and I'm not a mufti, and no one's here. Imam Sahib is not on the panel today. He actually, just got a nice fresh haircut. I don't know in Toronto where he can get a haircut from. So, but nonetheless, if he was here sitting and we were talking about riba and all of these things, then it'd be different. But back to, if I may, one question that just came up is something in regards to, यार मुश्किलें कभी भी आ सकती हैं. Emergency, Allah ना करे, but कभी भी आ सकती हैं. So let's say you were mentioning like a rainy day fund, emergency fund.
Yeah.
How important is a rainy day fund, and how much should have been saved in terms of percentage of income? Okay, how much should we keep aside every paycheck just for a rainy day, or keep aside for an investment?
There are different ways to derive or come up with that amount.
Gee.
I'll talk about like how we calculate in terms of when we do a planning for someone.
Gee.
So we normally either take anywhere from 3 to 6 months of either income or the expenses, depend. And that's again, we look at what are the expenses and how much is the income. If someone is making 20,000 a month or 15,000 a month, then probably we don't want to block that amount of 120,000 into something which is doing nothing.
Right.
So that probably there, I'll look at what are your expenses. Is it 5,000 a month? Okay, let's put, if it's 6 months, 30,000. So that way we are not blocking
True.
something, and rather than the person will prefer investing because it's going to work for him
Say.
or her.
That makes sense. So, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was talking about that insurance. I would like to know from you as well, because I've heard this a lot of time. I'll say, from our especially Muslim community. When we talk about insurance, it's something with no.
Yeah,
But
that's why I mentioned you both. Because
So that's something I would like to know. There are different types insurance, and I've read articles. I've spoken to Mufti like Maulanas, and to get their opinion, like what exactly Islam says. What's the perspective, Islamic perspective about the insurance? There are two sections. One says it's okay with, as long as it's not paying you any interest.
And that's the biggest thing. It's a riba. And
Right.
the Prophet
Right.
ﷺ mentioned it's one of the major things that Allah dislikes is
That's
a
true.
riba.
Yeah.
So planning yourself for your future and setting yourself up for the future and what you're using the insurance for, that is between you and your Lord. I know muftis and I even know our ustads who have said, yeah, you can do it. But as long as it's not giving you any interest. If you are making 30, 40, 50% interest on it and you're pocketing that, but you still get a life insurance of $500,000 or $1 million, then again, it goes back to Islam is not something that's so strict that it's going to break your back and not make you be successful in the West.
Right.
For example, Islam is for every region, East, West, North, and South. Alhamdulillah. But if there's shak, then you leave it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest message.
The reason for asking this question is
Ji.
whenever we do a plan, like we build a plan for anyone,
Say.
if it's not protected
Say.
properly,
Ji.
because that's what the insurance does.
Right.
And especially, interest. I said there are different types of insurance products. Term insurance doesn't pay any interest.
Right.
It's only a pure death benefit.
Right.
So sometimes, that helps to protect that plan,
For sure.
the family.
For sure. Yeah.
That's the reason I was asking this
No,
question.
but I mean, if
whether
there-
it makes sense or in terms of,
Absolutely. If it's not gaining you any interest and it's in the money invested is building for your security for your family, it's good. No, Islam is not going to tell you otherwise, right? So, and I think that's beautiful. So,
brother, that was a very good answer. Jazakallah for that. But I think we don't have much time. This will be the last question, I guess.
go ahead. Yeah.
So, one brother is asking, if my investments are in different bank, can you still look at my situation and help build a plan?
Absolutely, I can do that, and that's what I do for my living. So that's my job, to give you a peace of mind, to do a plan for you that's tailored to your needs and your objectives. So that's absolutely can be done. And the first thing that I can do for the brother is review their existing situation. Where do they stand?
Ji.
Where do they want to what do they want to achieve in terms of their financial goals?
Ji.
So putting together, then we can come up to go to the next step. Okay, how do we want to proceed further?
Right.
So the first thing is, let's have a conversation.
Ji.
Then we can come up with a plan for the next step.
So is it just for here or anywhere in GTA you can communicate, or you can set up like virtual tour with them and video calling, all that stuff, or you can go anywhere, right?
Oh, I'm registered for Ontario. So as long as the person lives in Ontario,
Okay.
I can help them.
Okay.
I cannot go outside Ontario because I'm not registered there. I'll have to get registered myself there
Okay.
in order to help that other. But it's probably it's not even. I may not be able to service them properly.
Right.
But yes, with today's technology, I do virtual meetings, so don't have to meet personally
Right.
because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
But
No,
yes,
that's-
we can do the virtual meetings and talk about it.
Awesome. Kamal bhai, thank you very much
Thank you
for
for
your time. I do want to give you a chance because we always do this in our podcast. It's closing remarks. So I'll turn over to Mohsin first for closing remarks, and then we'll go to you, and then we'll conclude, inshallah.
So, first of all, I would like to thanks for sponsoring Makkah Islamic Center, the podcast. We really appreciate your generosity. And second, I am not a financial advisor. That I can't give any information regarding financial, but I can advise. If you wanted to do any financial plans, RESP, RRSP, or any life insurance plan or any savings, please do not hesitate to contact Brother Kamalhusain Rathod. The information you will see very shortly, right after Brother Kamalhusain finish. It will be on your screen. So write down the information, email address, phone number, and everything, and contact Brother as soon as possible. Jazakallah.
Kamal bhai.
So I'll just end by saying that feel free to reach out to me. There's no harm. It doesn't hurt you in getting a second opinion. It's always good to have a second pair of eyes to look at your plan if you have one. If you don't have one, feel free to reach out, and probably we can have a conversation and sit together and work on it.
MashaAllah.
Kamal bhai, your information will be on the podcast, but why don't you yourself say a phone number and email address just for our viewers?
Yeah. So right now, because of this COVID, I'm working from home, so my cell is always available. So my cell number is 647-289-8786, and my email is Kamalhusain, KAMALHUSAIN .RATHOD@ig.ca.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. So thank you very much, Brother Mohsin, Brother Kamal. It's always good to make sure that we set ourselves up for our future generation. And that's where, brother, and for yourself as well, for your retirement. So a lot of good information. Please share the video. Kamal Bhai's information is also in the description as well. So it's in the description in Instagram posts. It's also in this entire month. So every episode that we have done, the description is there. So I'm just going to throw it up on the screen for you guys to see. And you're seeing it now on your screen. So Brother Kamalhusain, 700-295 the Westmall, Etobicoke, Ontario. Like they mentioned, they're doing virtual tools from home. So their cell number is 647-289-8786. Their email is on your screen, kamalhusain.rathod@ig.ca, kamalhusain.rathod@ig.ca. Once again, thank you very much for the brothers for coming out. And we'll definitely have to bring you back, inshallah.
Absolutely.
And to go into a little bit more detail to give you enough time to kind of go through everything. So we want to thank you once again, sincerely, from the entire team that's here as well.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, viewers. And inshallah, we'll see you next week, Saturday, 5:30 for our season finale before the month of Ramadan. Until we meet again, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.